There are a lot of bogus clubs out there. If you look at these, can you tell the difference?
If the deal that you're looking at sounds too good to be true, it is. Hey everybody, welcome to the Hot List presented by Dick's Sporting Goods and Golf Galaxy. Today we're talking about the biggest ripoff in golf, and we're not talking about my handicap.
That is a ripoff, but no, we're talking about counterfeit golf equipment. And I think it's important to start off to know the difference between counterfeit and a knockoff. A knockoff is when you have a brand name that's kind of close, kind of a cutesy play on words. You kind of know you're not getting the real thing. With a counterfeit, it is disguised to look exactly like the real thing, and you don't know it.
Well, and it's big dollars. Across all industries, it's almost $1.8 trillion in losses. And the fact is, obviously you see it on the streets of New York with fake Rolexes everywhere, and there's fake Gucci bags and all this other stuff. But the fact is, in golf, you don't see it. And even if you know what you're trying to find, you won't see it because you don't have a comparison between the legit club and the counterfeit club. That's where we are with counterfeits today. It is that precise.
Yeah, and it's hundreds of millions of dollars just in golf alone annually. Put that in perspective, counterfeit clubs would probably be the number 5 or number 6 equipment manufacturer in terms of sales. So it is a gigantic problem, and it's one that people need to be aware of.
To know how big a problem it is, it's not often that the golf industry gets together and speaks with one voice. In this case, you've got 12 of the leading manufacturers, all the big names, all together forming a working group to essentially attack this problem. And when I say attack, I literally mean attack, because they will go to warehouses in China and conduct a raid. And we're not talking like 27 club heads or something like that. We're talking about thousands of club heads that are ready to be shipped and sold as legit when in fact they're not.
Well, and in all, those 12 manufacturers form the U.S. Golf Manufacturers Counterfeit Anti-Working Group, and over the years they have seized 2 million clubs. And if you want to put that in perspective, if you laid them down side by side, they'd go from Bethpage Black all the way to Torrey Pines. So there are a lot of bogus clubs out there, and we're going to help you figure out if yours is legit or yours is bogus, and also how to stay clear of it in the first place.
The tried and true rule in all things is if the deal that you're looking at sounds too good to be true, it is, because that's exactly why counterfeits have been able to work, because you're seeing brand new product for 25, 33%, half off sometimes, and at some point you just gotta say, I'm gonna take this deal, and what you get is not what you want.
Well, we've been trying to educate you a little bit, but now it's time to actually see the club. So Mason, I think we need to get in here a little bit tighter on these. Mike, if you would take these clubs and turn them around. You can be the Vanna White of this operation.
Very nice.
So if you look at these, can you tell the difference? Maybe you can. I'm guessing you probably can't. But I'm going to point out a couple specific things to be on the lookout for. First off, if you look here at the speed injected area, the actual club, very sharp, straight lines, centered. And if you look carefully here, there's just a little bit of an uptick, so not quite centered, a little bit off the mark. Also, if you look at the coloring in the M6 here, much brighter here, a little bit darker there. Now if we go to the face, before we go to the face.
Look at this, to say how far we've come in counterfeits, you've got a serial number here that almost makes it look like this is the legit thing, because obviously on real clubs, a lot of real clubs will have a serial number that you can register. This serial number could apply to a toaster, it could apply to a 5-iron. It's not obviously a real number, and in many cases in the counterfeit business, it'll be the same number on every driver that they try to sell you.
Absolutely, but again, it shows to the extreme how good the crooks have gotten at making these look like the real deal. Now let's go to the face, and we will see a couple of very obvious ones that you might not notice in a vacuum, but you can notice when they're side by side. On the real club, you have a real screw here. Come down here, That is just a mill mark. There's no screw there whatsoever. So that one is probably the most visibly obvious of this group. Then if you come up here, you see a little bit of difference in the coloring on the grooves on the face. A little bit brighter up here, a little bit grayer down here. Ditto with the twist face. A little bit brighter up top, not so much down below.
And when you look at something like the screws, again, you're talking about, in the legitimate case, TaylorMade trying to engineer getting those screws flat on the basically a curved surface is really, really difficult, because if it's not flat, in essence, it's not conforming and doesn't work as well. If you're just putting orange paint and milling it, you don't have to worry about getting it right, and it's a lot easier to make, so therefore you're not investing anything in terms of innovation.
Exactly. Now we go to the top of the club. This is the big giveaway, and a lot of people say, how can we actually tell if a club is fake or not? Well, in a driver or any kind of metal wood with carbon fiber, this is the dead giveaway. Here you have carbon fiber, nice and soft sounding, and here it's ringing like the Liberty Bell, because that is just titanium. And why is that important? It's important because there are huge performance differences. Titanium is a lot heavier than carbon, and it's going to lead to a heavier club and a not as well performing club. So with that, let's take these, hit a few shots, and try to show you the differences. So what we're going to start off with here is the Counterfeit club. They are in the same setting. They're both in the neutral setting. We want to keep it as close as possible to what you're going to see. I can already feel that it's a little bit heavier in my hand. That might send it a little bit more offline. We don't know, but I have a good guess. A number of years ago, we did a similar test and we saw some pretty amazing differences. And if you listen closely, you might even be able to hear some sound differences as well. Yeah, so the heavy club has got that ball going off to the right. It's spinning like mad. The face is pretty dead. I mean, 201 yards, and look at that backspin number. I mean, 6,049 backspin. I don't know if I've ever hit a driver with 6,049 RPMs of backspin on it.
And you know, you talked about before when we did the sound thing, and you could tell that it was maybe all titanium, maybe something else, but definitely an all metal construction.
Yeah.
The reason you're seeing those kind of spin numbers is, again, that benefit of the carbon fiber construction in the crown that saves weight. There's actually carbon fiber in the sole on that driver too. More weight is able to go low. If you have an all metal construction, that weight is going to be high. That leads to high spin shots. That's not what you want for distance.
Definitely not. I mean, I think the point you're getting at is the chassis, there's a lot more to it. You need the engine under the hood as well.
Well, and again, it's a super sophisticated driver design that's got a, injected resin in the face to push that face all the way to the limit in terms of COR. I'm guessing there's no injection in Mr. Counterfeit.
Absolutely not. So now we have the real TaylorMade M6. Like I said, I can already feel it's lighter. Hopefully I can get through the ball a little better with this. And that is a much better strike. As you can see, I mean, that's a 30-yard difference. And I hit that one a little bit on the heel, but there's actual forgiveness built into this club where there's none in the Counterfeit. Backspin, that's a little high, 42.89, but that's because I did hit it on the heel a little bit. But even at that, you're seeing 1,800 RPMs difference. I mean, 1,800. Usually it's a difference of a couple hundred at best. So monumental performance differences. And it's one of the reasons that the manufacturers are really all about trying to stop this trend, because if you think it's a TaylorMade product and it's not, and it performs like the Counterfeit one did, you're not going to be a very happy customer.
Well, you're not going to be a happy customer, and if you save $100 to hit it 30 yards shorter, I don't think that's a bargain at all. But you were mentioning manufacturers and victimless crime. Fact is, if you buy one of these Counterfeit clubs and you say this is terrible, or worse yet, it breaks, do you go complain to TaylorMade?
You do, and important to know is there's nothing they can do for you. It's not their club. What they will do is they will confiscate the club because it's a fake, and they will turn it over. So if you buy a counterfeit club and something goes wrong with it, you really have no recourse, because trust me, if you go back to the website you purchased it from, they are long gone.
So there you go. You save money, but it's 30 yards shorter. It probably breaks, and then you have to give it back to the company, and you get nothing for it. So great deal.
Well, we do have a question here from @DuntAGolfer that's right along these lines. I'm buying a set of Callaway Epic Flash Woods online. How can I tell if they're authentic? And it's a great question, because this goes right to the heart of it. If you're online, say you're on eBay or another auction site, and you see a bunch of drivers from the same seller, all for sale at a too good to be true price, it's probably fake. And the thing is, you have to be really careful, because the crooks have gotten so good at this. It's no longer a $500 driver that you're going to get to buy for $200. It's a $500 driver that they've got at maybe $389, and you're like, oh, I'll save that $100.
Right.
But you know, it's leading you into a trap, so you really have to be careful.
The challenge is, well, it's online, it's eBay, they're legitimate. What you can do is go to the manufacturer that they're selling the club and say, hey, is this retailer listed in your list of authorized retailers? Because almost every major manufacturer, you go to their site and there's a list of authorized retailers. Sometimes there's even a list of authorized e-commerce sites that, okay, this guy's legit. If it's not on that site, just run and hide. I mean, you're bringing on, it may turn out to be a legitimate club, but it's not worth the risk at all.
Yeah, and most manufacturers have a minimum advertised price, so if you see something that's below that, odds are you're heading towards a fake club. I mean, there are plenty of authorized retailers that you can have the convenience of going online and buying, certainly Dick's Sporting Goods and Golf Galaxy among them. I think the real takeaway is, why take a chance? And if you want more hints on what to look for, there's a great website, keepgolfreal.com. You can go on there, lots of tips on how to spot fakes, and more importantly, how to stay away from them in the first place.
You know, one other thing that occurs to me about counterfeit clubs, you're not going to get fit for those.
No, you're definitely not going to get fit for those.
If you want to take the first step to avoid buying counterfeit, go get fit.
No doubt about it. Till next time.